Hi, hello everyone. Welcome to our channel, My TSPSC Preparation. How are you guys all? Everyone well and good? Yep. Yesterday we have seen about Vishnu Kundina dynasty, the first part in which we covered the sources of the dynasty. That is basically mainly two sources. First one is the first inscription of Tummalagudam and the second is second inscription of Tummalagudam. Right? Today we are going to study about what is the actual home of Vishnu Kundina dynasty and also who was the founder of this dynasty. Guys, like I have already told you, Vishnu Kundina dynasty, we have found resources, but in most of the resources we were not able to trace out what is the exact time period of this dynasty rule. But there were only few inscriptions like the first and the second Tummalagudam inscription in which we got the years along with the period, that is Tithi, on Purnima or which month. All these details were given in the Tummalagudam inscription. Basing on those only, we have provided the analysis. See, I am providing this picture of Lord Rama because Lord Rama is an incarnation of Lord Vishnu. It is mostly known to be that. So a lot of similarities we have found in the religion beliefs of Vishnu Kundina and Ikshvaku dynasty. That is the reason I am using the same picture that I used for Ikshvakus. Okay, so now first let's get into understanding of what could be the territory of Vishnu Kundina dynasty. Yep. See, look at the map structure of Telangana. See, the coins we got in certain areas. With those things, definitely we can say that Vishnu Kundinas, they have ruled those areas, right? So, where did we get these coins is, we got first it in Nalgonda, that is in Ileshwaram district, and in Karimnagar. See, whenever I say Karimnagar, it could be either Dhulikatta or Kotilingala. So in this case it is Dhulikatta. Yep. And Medak. Whenever I am saying Medak, it is Kondapur because excavations it happened in only certain area, guys. So those areas will only be repeated. So these three areas we found the coins of Vishnu Kundina dynasty. So these areas we found the coins, and hence we say that these people, Vishnu Kundinas, they have ruled these areas in Telangana. No doubt they have ruled other areas also, okay? But we got evidences here, so we are saying these are the areas. And exactly talking about the capital, this capital information was nowhere provided. Neither in the inscriptions also the capital information was not provided. So this is the main reason we cannot certainly say that the capital of Vishnu Kundinas is so and so. But Tummalagudam inscription, based on this inscription, people have, that is historians, they have made their analysis, they have given their analysis and they said that okay, so and so place could be the capital of Vishnu Kundina. Yeah, so remember who has given the Tummalagudam inscription, because this is very very important. You should never forget. First Tummalagudam inscription is given by who? It is Govinda Varma. He is the follower of Buddhism, but I am telling Buddhism, and they were actually mostly inclined towards Sri Parvata Swami. Yeah, that is because see, Buddhism, the Lord Buddha, they felt that Lord Buddha is an incarnation of Lord Vishnu, meaning Lord Vishnu's avatar. One of the avatars of Lord Vishnu is Buddha. They used to feel that and they used to worship that, and they have that faith. That is the reason this Buddhism was mainly followed by Govinda Varma, including his wives, that is Paramabhattarika Mahadevi, she was a great follower of Buddhism, so great follower of Buddhism that she has built villages, she has donated villages, right? She built the villages, and these villages was donated by her husband, who is Govinda Varma. What are those villages, guys? Those are also very important. The names are Embudala and Penkapara. See, these people, they believe Buddhism, yeah, and I am saying that it is Sri Parvata Swami because they have prayed mostly to the Sri Parvata Swami, and with the name Vishnu, right? They have Vishnu in their name itself, so that is why they followed Lord Vishnu. We can certainly say that, right? So with this Buddhism, considering Buddhism and Vishnu as a source, we can say that Vishnu Kundina dynasty was between Sri Parvata and Nagarjuna Kunda. Okay, so this was a small reference provided by the historians. And where did this inscription found? Like Tummalagudam inscription, where was it found? It was found in Tummalagudam, Nalgonda. Yeah, so Nalgonda could have been the capital. This is also one more analysis. But an excavations, it has been taken place at Kisaragutta. Kisaragutta, guys, there is a famous, very very famous temple, Ramalingeshwara temple. So this temple, people say that it is built during the Vishnu Kundina dynasty. So when excavations they started to take place, we found evidences, and those evidences, it belonged to Vishnu Kundina dynasty, saying that, see, the coins whichever they found during the excavations clearly gave evidences that it belonged to the Vishnu Kundina dynasty. So this is one more probability that it could be the capital. All this information is just an analysis, no certainty that so and so is the capital, no. And one more thing, guys, see, what did I say? People in the ancient times, they always preferred water bodies, and wherever more population there is a possibility of the growth. Like Hyderabad, you see, it's a highly populated area, that's why people are growing, and the business is growing, and the lifestyle is also improving, right? Similarly, at that time also, wherever the water bodies were there is a possibility of growth, right? And mostly the capital will be also preferred to be that area only. Now Hyderabad is the center and it's the most populated area. So what is the capital of Telangana? It is Hyderabad, right? So likewise, during Vishnu Kundina dynasty also, whichever was the most populated area, was the closest to the river bodies or the water bodies, that place could be the capital. Yeah, in Telangana, guys, we have Krishna water also, we have Godavari water also, we have Manjira water body also, right? See, Krishna river, I'll tell you how it goes. It goes something from this area. Yeah, this is the Krishna river, and coming to Godavari river, it goes something like this. Yeah, it goes like this, and Manjira we have in between. Okay, so out of all these areas, that is, where did we find the coins, guys? The first one being in Karimnagar, which place it is? It is Dulikatta. In Medak, which place it is? It is Kondapur. In Nalgonda, it is Ileshwaram. So out of all these three areas, people have decided that Ileshwaram could be the best spot to be told as a capital. Okay, apart from this was closest to the Asmaka Janapada. Remember what is Asmaka Janapada? The area, this area, Adilabad and Nizamabad. Let me clean this. Adilabad, Nizamabad, this area I have told that this is Asmaka Janapada. So Asmaka Janapada was nearer to this region, right? Because the capital of Asmaka kingdom was Asmaka, so at that time it was close to this river basins. That's why this could have been a capital. So this could be one of the reasons that Nalgonda's Ileshwaram could be a possible capital of Vishnu Kundina, right? And Indrapal Nagar, because we have found the inscription in Indrapal inscription near Nalgonda region in Nileshwaram. Okay, so understood now what could be the home of Vishnu Kundinas. See, here we are not talking about the complete territory. Complete territory is much more vast level. Yeah, we are just seeing what are the places we got the evidences, and certainly this area was ruled by so and so king. This we are looking into. Okay, so now we will see who could be the founder of the Vishnu Kundinas. Yesterday I've shown you guys the hierarchy, right? See, the first Tummalagudam inscription, it talked about these three people, who Indravarma, Madhavavarma and Govindavarma. From this thing only the start of the kingdom name started. So that's why historians told that this person could be the founder of the dynasty. So this was told by the historians. Yeah. So now where did the Tummalagudam inscription was found to be? It is in the Nalgonda region. See, I am showing you Tummalagudam inscription where it is found. It's in the map here. See, Tummalagudam inscription, it was found in Indrapala Nagara, which is in Nalgonda. Okay, this is the place. You can see at this side we have Hyderabad, and here we have Indrapala Nagara, which is in Nalgonda. So since the inscription was found at this place, we can say that the capital could have been Indrapala Nagara during that time. And also you see Parama Bhattarika, wife of Govindavarma, she has built lot of Buddhist viharas. So we know this thing that she has built these Buddhist viharas, and this was also near Tummalagudam. Yeah, not only just one inscription, we got first inscription which is given by Govindavarma, second inscription which is given by Vikramendra Varma. With all this information, what we can say that initially Vishnu Kundinas, they were at Nalgonda region, and eventually, that is slowly by slowly, they have expanded the region up to the Andhra coastal region. Okay, and see those people, Govindavarma, he was a follower of Buddhism, right? So Buddhism and Sri Parvata Swami. Sri Parvata Swami, this is again Nagarjunakonda, right? So Nagarjunakonda, we know that Acharya Nagarjuna, with Acharya Nagarjuna only, Nagarjunakonda was founded, and he was a great follower of Buddhism. So Sri Parvata Swami and Lord Buddha strongly connected in the Vishnu Kundina dynasty. And these people who Vishnu Kundina dynasty, they are followers of Sri Parvata Swami. Okay, and see, we have seen the inscription of Ikshvakus. That is, we found 10 lines inscription at Phanagiri, right? We found 10 lines inscription at Phanagiri, which gave lot of information about the Ikshvakus. From that inscription, I have already told you what information did we get. So these people who Ikshvakus, they were working as chief army under Shatavahanas. After Ikshvakus, it was Abhiras, right? So Ikshvakus, which region were they ruling, guys? It was these three areas, right? This was Ikshvakus, and Abhiras, they were ruling at this part during that time, right? So now when Ikshvakus, they were ruling, Vishnu Kundinas, they might be reporting to Ikshvakus. Who? Vishnu Kundinas, they were reporting to Ikshvakus. And after Ikshvakus, that is after the downfall of Ikshvakus, they were reporting to whom? Abhiras. After Ikshvaku, it was Abhiras. And after Abhiras, because Abhiras, they did not rule for much time, they joined hands with Vakatakas. Who? Vishnu Kundina people, they joined hands with Vakatakas. How can they join hands? By performing marriages. They performed marriages between Vishnu Kundina and the Vakataka dynasty, and they made themselves strong. And that's how they established their kingdom. When all these things were happening, guys, remember Simhavarma has entered the Ikshvaku kingdom, and finally it was Shivaskanda Varma who has defeated Rudra Purushadatta, and he has taken his entire kingdom. So at that time, you see, Pallavas, they were enemies to who? It was Ikshvakus. So basically, Vishnu Kundina, since they were reporting to Ikshvakus, they also felt that Pallavas are their enemies, and that's why they joined hands with Vakataka dynasty, and finally he went on war with Pallavas, and that's how he won the kingdom of Kamma kingdom also. Yeah, but it was not that easy to get the Kamma kingdom, guys, because Pallavas were actually very strong. You see, Pallavas, they were fighting with Ikshvakus. Ikshvakus was very strong during that time, and when they were fighting with Ikshvakus lost. After that, small kingdoms like Brihat Palayanas and Anandagotrika. I talked about these people while telling about Ikshvaku dynasty. People who have missed, they have to go back and check the Ikshvaku dynasty. Yeah, so these people also, they fought for almost like 150 years with Pallavas, and they defeated. They could not win over Pallavas, but Vishnu Kundina dynasty, he has actually defeated Pallavas, and he has taken over the Kamma kingdom. But do you really think that Vishnu Kundina dynasty fought the war and he got the kingdom to himself? Actually, it was not so. At that time, few other kingdoms also, they were actually planning to take the Kamma kingdom. For example, you see, Kadamba dynasty only, there were 3 kings like Kakutsa Varma, Shanti Varma and Krishna Varma. They also declared independence in order to take Kamma kingdom, but they couldn't take it. It was Vishnu Kundinas who took the advantage of this situation. Who? Kakutsu Varma, Shanti Varma and Krishna Varma of Kadamba dynasty, they planned an attack with Pallavas so that they can take over Karma kingdom or Kamma kingdom. Okay, but they couldn't do that, and with this, it helped Vishnu Kundina dynasty people to take that kingdom. And he also performed Ashwamedha sacrifice. You guys know what is the importance of Ashwamedha sacrifice, so I need not repeat it right now. By this time, everyone should have in their mouth what is Ashwamedha sacrifice. Yeah. So with all this information, it is very clear that Vishnu Kundina dynasty, they have ruled the Telangana region. Now we have got 2 inscriptions, right? What are those? First is first inscription of Tummalagudam, second is second inscription of Tummalagudam. In first inscription, it was 3 names. In second inscription, it was 5 names. So totally we got around 8 names. So with these information, one of the historian, his name is B.N. Shastri, he has provided this hierarchy of Vishnu Kundina dynasty. Yeah? Starting with the Indravarma. Indravarma, he is the founder of or the originator of the Vishnu Kundina dynasty. And after his name only, Indrapalanagaram has been built. All this information, guys, we will talk about each and every king in detail, or whatever information we want from that king, we are going to talk about it. But this is the hierarchy. I'm just giving a heads up to you guys so that, okay, this hierarchy should be in your mind. Whenever you see this hierarchy, you should be able to tell about, okay, this kingdom is this kingdom is this. అలా వస్తూ ఉండాలి మైండ్లో. సో ఇంద్రవర్మ, he is the originator. He has built the city Indrapalpur. Okay, and his son is Madhava Varma. Madhava Varma is again one of the greatest kings. He has ruled for around 22 years. Yep, actually this person, he had a major role in establishing the Vishnu Kundina dynasty, because Indravarma, see, first only Nalgonda was there, right? So they have to expand their kingdom. So Madhava Varma, he took that additional step. From Nalgonda, he got Mehboob Nagar. Now 2 kingdoms, two places are under his control. He has to expand their kingdom. So this person, he has played main role in expanding the kingdom, because at that time Vakatakas, Ikshvakus and many other like Abiras, they were all under play, right? And there were a lot of wars happening during that time. So this person Madhavavarma, he took all these things to his advantage. After that, his son Govindavarma, he also played an important role, because the first thing he issued is the first inscription of Tummalagudam, and from that what did we get to know? He is the great follower of Buddhism. Not only that, his wife also, Parama Bhattarika Mahadevi, she is also a great follower of Buddhism. In fact, her native place is only a very famous Buddhist land, wherein his fathers and entire family, they believe Buddhism, and they have donated viharas, chaitras, they have built the chaitras. All these things they used to take place. Yeah, from that only Parama Bhattarika Mahadevi could have gained some inspiration, and like that she continued. And Govindavarma, he also had another wife who is Mahadevi. Now Mahadevi and Govindavarma's son is only Madhavavarma too. Okay, who Madhavavarma is the son of Govindavarma and Mahadevi. It's not Parama Bhattarika Mahadevi and Govindavarma. Now this person, he is 200% important. Madhavavarma is very important, because he is not only one of the greatest Vakataka kings, but amongst the subordinate rulers also, he is the greatest kings. He defeated many dynasties. First Vakatakas, then Pallavas, then Anandagotrika, then Salayanka, then Matara. All these dynasties he has defeated. And not just that, performing sacrifices like Ashwamedha Yaga. Ashwamedha, guys, he has performed 11. Have you seen any other dynasty king performing 11 Ashwamedhas? We have seen 4 Ashwamedhas, but not 11 Ashwamedhas. So Madhavavarma, he has performed 11 Ashwamedhas, Agnihotsama also, and Rajasuya Yaga also. Imagine so many things Madhavavarma has performed. That's why Madhavavarma's rule is considered to be prominent. Now Madhavavarma, he has 2 sons. One is Devavarma, the other is Vikramendra Varma. From the second inscription of Tummalagudam, Vikramendra Bhattarika Varma, he told that his grandfather was the son of Vakataka princess. Vikramendra Varma, he is the son of Vakataka princess. So Madhavavarma's wife could be a Vakataka princess, right? So his elder son, Madhavavarma's elder son is Devavarma, younger son is Vikramendra Varma, who is the son of Vakataka princess. And during his time only, Vikramendra Varma's time only, the kingdom of Vakataka was split into 2. I told you, right? The first one being the son of Gautamiputra Shatakarni's branch, the other one is Sarvasena's branch. So the first one is called as Srurika branch, second branch is Vatsal Gulma branch. So this Srurika branch was also called as Purika branch, guys. And this Purika branch was seen by Vikramendra Varma. Like Vikramendra Varma, he used to take care of Srurika branch. Few people say that Devavarma, he did not rule much, and directly it was Madhavavarma. Madhavavarma actually had to fight a war with Vikramendra Varma, because at those times you need to decide who needs to be the ruling king. Madhavavarma III had to do hereditary war with Vikramendra Varma, because we need to decide who is the next ruling king. In that, actually, Madhavavarma, he took the help of Vakatakas from the Vatsal Gulma branch. This Vikramendra Varma, he was ruling the Srurika branch, and this person, Madhavavarma, he has taken the help of the other branch, which is Vatsal Gulma, and he tried to suppress Vikramendra Varma. And in this battle, Madhavavarma III, he has won. Madhavavarma III has won the battle between Vikramendra Varma and Madhavavarma III. Yeah, Madhavarma III has won the battle. Now you can ask me that why Vikramendra Varma had to go to Vakataka kingdom and rule Vakataka region, because he, whatever kingdom he had, he could not keep that to himself. He lost that kingdom. That's the reason he had to go to the Vakataka kingdom's Rurikha branch. But that branch also, you see, Madhava Varma, he fought the war and he defeated Vikramendra Varma and he has taken the kingdom. So with this, the story of Vikramendra Varma ended. After Vikramendra Varma, Indra Bhattarika Varma, he has come to rule. Now you see, Vikramendra Varma, that is his father, he has already lost. His reporting kings, that is the subordinate rulers of Vikramendra Varma, now joined hands together and they declared independence. Indra Bhattarika Varma, if he goes alone, you never know the result. That's why he went along with elephants to defeat the subordinate rulers of his father's reign. But Indra Bhattarika Varma, he is only one person and subordinate rulers, there are so many. That's why he couldn't fight to them and he couldn't win that war. But during this time, Ganga dynasty people, they played a very important role. One of the Ganga dynasty kings, he fought a war with Indra Bhattarika Varma and he lost to Indra Bhattarika Varma. From that point, his growth started. Indra Bhattarika Varma's growth started from Ganga dynasty's king after defeating Indra Varma or the Indradi king. Now you see this person, he defeated the Ganga dynasty. Now he got much support. So with this support, he wanted to take revenge on Madhava Varma III. That's why he went and he fought a war with Madhava Varma III and he even defeated Madhava Varma III. That's how from Indra Bhattarika Varma, his dynasty people started coming. You see, the hierarchy ends at Madhava Varma and it begins from Indra Bhattarika Varma continuously. Okay? After Indra Bhattarika Varma, it was his son who Vikramendra Bhattarika Varma. This is the same person who has given second inscription of Tummalakudam. With the entry itself, he has taken the title Bhuvana Raksha Bhavanikashraya. You see, what is the title? Bhuvana Raksha Bhavanikashraya. Following this person's name only, this title Bhuvana Raksha Bhavanikashraya, Chalukyas, they must have copied the title called Samasta Bhuvanashraya. What Samasta Bhuvanashraya? Bharanikashraya, Bhuvanakashraya. Right? Bhuvana Raksha, Bharanikashraya, they have told Samasta Bhuvanashraya. But this person, guys, Vikramendra Bhattarika Varma, he did not live for much long time. What happened was, he actually wanted to wage a war with Pallavas. So he went and he was fighting war with Pallavas. During that time, one of his subordinate kings, he declared independence. He is from Rana Durjaya dynasty and the king name is Prithvi Maharaj. He declared independence and that's how people say that Vikramendra Bhattarika Varma, he must have died during that battle. Which battle, guys? It was the battle between Pishtapur. Pishtapur, it's today's Pithapuram. Like earlier it was Pishtapur, but it is today's Pithapuram and Vikramendra Bhattarika Varma. The dynasties, which are the dynasties between which the fight has happened? It is the Vishnu Kundina dynasty and Rana Durjaya dynasty. Rana Durjaya dynasty's king name is Prithvi Maharaj. Yeah. So with this, Vikramendra Bhattarika Varma's complete thing has ended. After Vikramendra Bhattarika Varma, it is Govinda Varma II. Guys, one more small correction. Pulakesin I and Ishana Varma, they existed during the time of Indra Bhattarika Varma. That is, the contemporaries of Indra Bhattarika Varma is Ishana Varma and Pulakesin, not Vikramendra Bhattarika Varma. I am going to change this in tomorrow's class. Okay. And after Vikramendra Varma, it was Govinda Varma II. See, nothing information much was provided about Govinda Varma II. It is just that his title was Vikramarka. That's the only information we got about Govinda Varma II. And also these things, it is not correct. This is not right. Actually, Indra Bhattarika's daughter Indra Bhattarika's daughter was married to Ishana Varma's son Sarva Varma. Okay, that's how the hierarchy should go. I'll just make this correction, and in tomorrow's class you will understand what is the exact hierarchy and what after what kings the rulings have happened. But till then you just discard this and just concentrate on the kings. Okay, we have talked about Govinda Varma till now. After Govinda Varma too, it is Madhava Varma. Madhava Varma is considered to be the greatest kings, guys, because he ruled for almost like 48 years, almost like 50 years. Ruling for 50 years is a great achievement. In the age of 15 years only, he went and he started ruling. See, 15 years age ke simhasanam poi kuchunnadu. So that great, and ruling for 50 years in itself is a great achievement during that time. He not only just had his physical strength, but also, you know, his soldiers and all, they were very courageous. So he had the title Suvarna Garbha Parasuta. So it means that Suvarna is gold. Okay, Garbha meaning stomach, Parasuta. See, in Deer's stomach he has put gold. So that is one of the donations he has done. He has donated gold in a deer. This was the title of Madhava Varma, and he is considered to be one of the greatest kings because he has ruled for around 50 years. And after that it is Mancha Bhattarika Varma. See, not that many rules Mancha Bhattarika Varma has ruled, but mainly after Madhava Varma only the declination already started to take place. So this is the complete hierarchy, guys, of the Vishnu Kundina dynasty. Amongst this, what are all important? First is Indra Varma, important because he is the founder. Govinda Varma is important because he is given the inscription of first Tumalagudam. And Vikramendra Bhattarika is important, that is true, because he has given the second inscription. Madhava Varma is important because he was the king who performed almost like 11 Ashwamedhas, and not just Ashwamedhas, he has done Agni Hotamas and also Rajasuya Yaga. Yeah, we have many greatness to talk about Madhava Varma when he comes. And after this person, it is, see, Madhava Varma 4 is also important because he has ruled for almost 50 years, and the age of 15 only he started to take all the responsibilities. So this is the complete hierarchy. Parama Bhattarika Mahadevi important because she has built the villages. What are the villages names? It is Embudala and Penkapara, which are donated by Govinda Varma. Indra Varma has also established the capital city Indrapalapura. Okay, so this is the complete details of the hierarchy. Tomorrow we are going to study about only few of the kings, guys, because all these kings we need to look into. We have to remember the names also, what they have done, everything in one day. It is not right to complete everything. So I am going to take few kings at this, until this point I am going to take tomorrow. Okay, till then, take care, stay tuned, happy reading, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and share as much as possible with your friends, because this information is free of cost and sharing doesn't require any money. You should share as much as you can. Okay, with this note I take leave of you guys. Bye bye, happy reading.